DeAndre Hopkins, a free agent, and Tom Pelissero, NFL.com, talked about how Odell Beckham Jr.'s contract that he signed with the Ravens affected Hopkins' thinking.
Arizona had trade talks surrounding DeAndre Hopkins for months. They were not able to move that contract, which would have paid him $19.45 million in 2023, nor was Hopkins willing to rework that contract to the degree that he would have had to facilitate a trade. Now, there was a point, you mentioned Odell, a couple of months ago, where there was momentum toward a Hopkins deal potentially getting done. Then what happens is DeAndre Hopkins sees that Odell Beckham Jr. signs for $15 million fully guaranteed, upside to $18 million. After not playing all of last season, Hopkins then begins to think, well, I can't possibly take less than that. And with that decision went away any chance that they had to move the contract. So at this point, Arizona decided to release him in part because doing it before June 1st allows them just to take the entire bullet now.
And with that, let's welcome in Tim Bielik from the Plain Dealer, cleveland.com. Tim, when you hear that he might be looking for 15, 16 million, I mean, there's ways of working around that salary cap wise. I'm not sure that DeAndre Hopkins would be happy in a crowded wide receiver room.
Yeah, and I think, when you look at that kind of value, like if he's looking to get Odell Beckham Jr. money, you're talking up to $18 million for this upcoming season. I think it's going to be interesting how that plays out because obviously the teams are looking at him, the Chiefs and the Bills, Browns, potentially in the mix as well. They're all kind of cap tied in a lot of ways. I mean, there's only so much money you have to go around. And the question is, do you want to pay $18 million, which you might have to, for a guy in DeAndre Hopkins that he may not be the same player that he was in Houston. I mean, you look at the numbers, his last two seasons, including last year where he missed 6 games with a PED suspension, combined for less than 1,300 yards, which when you go compared to the year before, 1,400 yards. So he had 1,400 yards in 2020, less than that in 21 and 22 combined. So he's not the player he was. And it's fair to say that because, I mean, he's in that threshold, that 30 and over threshold, turns 31 on June 6th. So you're looking at a guy who's getting older. He's not a number one right now. He's probably a number 2 right now. And the question is, yeah, you may only need him for that season. And if you win the Super Bowl with DeAndre Hopkins, it's worth it in spades. But if you're talking paying $18 million for DeAndre Hopkins, when you don't necessarily know how he kind of fits in your receiver room, or you kind of have to refigure that out over the course of the summer, there's a lot of hoops to kind of go through. Doesn't mean you don't do it, but you have to have a good plan in place for how you incorporate DeAndre Hopkins into your offense.